Electric cars have been on the rise in recent years. That's why I decided to build one in this video. Instead of building your run-of-the-mill EV, I'll be building a K-size sports EV that'll be small yet fun to drive. Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, and let's get on with our build. So the panel material, this will be mainly based off of weight because electric vehicles, they are heavy because of the motors and batteries that are in these vehicles. So let's choose a steel panel material with a monocoque chassis also made out of steel. With a mid-longitudinal type of engine with the front and rear suspensions, I guess double wishbones for the front and the back. And for the body and pretty much the engine too, put this at a -15 for the quality slider. For the engine, since it's mid-engine, even though the engine won't be here in BeamNG.drive, so inline 4 engine I guess, and drop the size, I think that's good enough for the bore. So let's choose a cast iron type of block material, and the bore and the stroke, I mean, this does and doesn't matter too much to a certain extent. I mean, it is going to be torque heavy, but we're trying to make as much weight as possible for the engine bay to increase the weight of the vehicle. So I believe 82.3 millimeters to the bore and 89 millimeters for the stroke to get the engine size to 1,894 cubic centimeters, or 1.9 liters is good enough. And I believe a dual overhead cam 5 valve is the most heaviest of the heads. Do cast iron. And the crank count rods and pistons, pretty simple. Cast pretty much everything, and I believe heavy duty cast is the most heaviest out of all these. Yes, they are. Same thing with the pistons at heavy duty cast, with a balancing shaft implemented, and max out the counterweight, and mess with the quality sliders a little bit later because I'm not sure if this engine's gonna blow or not. And let's do VVT at all cams, and for the turbocharger, let's really add this bad boy up by having a turbocharger, max compressor and turbine size. I guess it'll work out. Jesus Christ, this turbocharger looks huge already. So for the fuel system, I did find out that a mechanical fuel injector is the heaviest out of all of them. If you choose the mechanical fuel injection single throttle setup, this adds about 29 pounds to the actual engine. And I think any of these would work out as a standard bid, and who cares about the fuel? And for the headers, so the turbo bid headers, either race or bid, are both the same weight, but this don't matter if you choose either of them. And for the exhaust diameter size, this increases weight too, so 8 inches or 203 millimeters. Bypass valves and a 3-way double reverse flow. We got a lot of work to do, especially when torque. Oh boy, change this up to a methanol type of fuel. Now we're up to 400, almost 430 horsepower. This is just minor changes to the turbocharger, and look where we're at. What if I twin scroll this? Even worse, but it's mainly just going to get the torque number. Once it converted to an EV, it'll be based off of this torque value from like the low end, and then as the RPM gains in the automation vehicle and BeamNG.drive, then you start to see the torque decrease, same thing with horsepower at the very high end. So I guess I'll probably finalize this engine here. So we got the power rating listed here at 432.3 horsepower at 6,100 RPM, and the torque, which is important for an EV, at 480 pounds-feet of torque at 3,400 RPM. And even this quote-unquote engine, battery motors, this and that, weighs just about 557 pounds up in here. If this were to be a legitimate like gas production engine, a real K car, this engine would probably be like maybe like 150, 200 pounds or something, maybe 200 pounds or something. And also, I do know that the maximum power by law for a K-car engine is 63 horsepower, but this power rating I got will be halved in BeamNG once it becomes an EV. I'm definitely gonna ignore this because that we Americans are too ignorant and don't even care about stuff like this. So let's give you a listen to this engine before we don't have an engine in BeamNG.drive. It's just at the low end, just sounds like a frickin' diesel engine or something. It tries to. So for the drive type, we're going to be using an all-wheel drive type of setup because it'll have dual motors. Jeez, let me hide the engine real quick. We'll do it in a second. So it'll be just increased weight and advanced automatic 10-speed with the top speed set. Let's be semi-realistic, maybe 120 would probably do. Because most EVs, they're not really that much in its speed class per se, like its top speed. Like some EVs can go up to like 130, 140, especially some Teslas go up to 140. like the friggin' P90, P100D, whatever, this and that kind of trim levels, the higher end power ones. But 120 will probably do. So for the tires, let's try to make them more semi-realistic for the sake of weight. So radial sports compounds with the front and rear tire width each set to 235 millimeters for the front and on the back. And let's make this even more stupid, magnesium rims, because it's hard to extinguish lithium-ion fires. Same thing for magnesium fires if the rims burn up. For the brakes, let's use the vented disc brakes because of being a sports car with a 3-piston setup to 260 millimeters, and also a vented disc with a 2-piston with its size set to 230. Drop the rear brake force because it's going to yell at me soon. And for the undertray, like the aerodynamics, let's probably do a flow optimized setup to improve weight by a couple pounds compared to a fully clad setup. For the brake airflow, maybe a 17. And for the interior of this car here, so this won't have an interior like an interior build in my time-lapse video, because I tried to put some seats in here, but since it's a modded body and the fixes that we got, it's kind of awkward putting a seat in and a dashboard somewhere up front because they're so spaced out they can't really improve on it. So for the interior, premium type of interior with a heads-up display, premium heads-up display, and for the driver aid safety standards and all that stuff, choose some of the good stuff. So electric variable type of power steering with just ABS brakes only, really, and advanced 2010 safety standards. And finally for the suspension, let's make this a little bit unique and add an air type of suspension for the springs with adaptive dampers and semi-active sway bars running on a sport preset to get things started. And we got severe oversteer. That's what happens when you put a big ass engine in the back and just wing with it. Yeah, the car has strong oversteer, significantly reducing durability and sportiness. Try increasing the rear grip. What, just some like 265 rear tires, there's 255s? That still ain't gonna cut it. What if I just go to 195s like my car in real life? Still not gonna count it whatsoever, damn. Hope it's not gonna be a big factor at BeamNG, so let's just try to wing with it, and if it does oversteer, then kids, don't copy my setup. Alright, so might as well just finalize this car as is with the drivetrain, wheels, brakes, and all that stuff in general, including the suspension tuning, and why did... Oh, this was 237, but I dropped it to 230 when we were at height, sorry. So anyways, let's get ready to design this here bad boy in a time-lapse. Well, first I gotta hide the engine and the exhaust, which I'll show you right here. So if you were to hide this, if you were to make an EV yourself, well, first of all, to go to engine in the advanced trim settings. No, excuse me, visibility. And you click on visibility and you click on the hide engine and enable that, which will hide the engine in the back because this is the engine here if it's disabled. And if you were to enable to hide the engine, this will be hidden in automation and BeamNG. But to do so with the exhaust pipe just sticking out right here, so you go into the paint section, and under exhaust, you click on the exhaust tab here to like paint the exhaust or whatever, and click on the plus button to apply a new paint. So instead of being a red type of exhaust, on the left where it says paint, like the type of material you want to choose, it should be the one below it. So just click on transparent and the entire exhaust assembly will be gone. So now that's out of the way, let's start to do the time-lapse of me design this car right now. So for the design of this car, I built this exact car off camera before making the design to get an idea of what to do with it. Not only that, I didn't want to make this video segment to be like 5 or 6 hours long because of that. Starting with the front, I added a couple of grills but blacked them out because it's not that necessary to have functioning grills for an EV. I also added some body morphing to the front bumper to add some little bit of detail to just the general front end design. And I also added some trim, which are basically just side vents, but blacked them out to add the fog lights and the safety sensors, and also added the sensors on the actual bumper too. For the sides, there isn't that much interest other than some flush door handles, the big ass charging port on the left hand side, and the fake side vents right by the massive indent on the doors, just like the real life Honda S660. Now for the rear, which took me a lot of time to get this one done. First, I started with the easy stuff by adding a grille fixture at the bottom to make a fake rear diffuser that doesn't work in BeamNG or automation either for aerodynamics, along with adding these two reflectors and a K-car license plate, same thing with the front end. Now as I designed the taillights, I literally spent over an hour trying to design them. First, I added a large center brake light above this black piece. I then used some negative tape to cut out the body and insert some custom taillights. first, I slapped on a pair of side reflectors and add a ton of LED strips for the brake lights, a turn indicator surrounding the brake lights, and a handful of oval LEDs for the reverse lights. Finally, I added the branding in the back along with repainting the car to this yellow looking color. So after getting everything done with this build, here's how it came out. This is the 2018 Hinata Radium SEL. This electric K sports car is the first of its kind on the market. With a pair of powerful motors, this will definitely be quick on the line while being emission-free and not in line with Japanese's horsepower ratings. Alright, so finally I got the Hinata Radium completely built up in here with the pimped out taillights set up, almost like a wannabe on Honda S660, same thing kinda with the front end. So anyways, before exporting this to BeamNG.drive, well first of all, if I go to the testing section and go to description, if I stand correct, and you can still do this I believe, in the trim description you click on this bad boy, and you type in the following, which is the exclamation point EV exclamation point to forcefully export it as is as an electric vehicle rather than a gasoline vehicle. So hope it stays like this. So anyways, despite these problems that we got going here for the car, such as the quality issues, the short gearing, reduce the car's top speed, the power distribution is ineffective, the tendency to oversteer, terminally oversteers, the front rear jam has been quite hard, the engine being quite full, the front engine is quite narrow, the crank is experiencing some high torque load. Let's jump on over to BeamNG.drive to see if it is indeed an EV. So here we are at the modded map of Rowan County, Tennessee, where you need a lot of RAM to load this map and to run pretty smoothly. So here we got the Hinata Radium all set up in here, and is this really an EV? I believe so. Yep, it's humming, it's whirring, it's doing EV things, so it is indeed an electric vehicle that we exported as by just doing that in automation. So anyways, and it's all EV yelly glory with this K car, so let's start off with our base performance test with the 0 to 62 acceleration test, followed by the 62 to 0 brake test, and lastly, a top speed run to see if this thing can reach its top speed. So let's start off with the acceleration test right now. Hit the gas pedals at and all that good stuff, so 30, 40, no upshift, said, what the? Is it my crapmobile? Okay, 0 to 62 in 7.47 seconds at 353.47 feet. Not that bad of an electric vehicle that's a K car and pretty much a sporty K car, just put it that way. Because most K cars are around... yeah, it is my crapmobile. I made that like over a year ago. I was about to say, even though most K cars, like electric K cars, have a top speed of like 80 or 90 miles an hour, like, they didn't go really fast, but this thing is an exception. So brake test underway. 62 to 0 in 2.34 seconds of 97.14 feet. Pretty interesting time as it just increments from 2 to 3 to 4, and the good thing about this car is, really good thing, is that the distance is very, very short of braking distance-wise, at under 100 feet braking distance. That's really nice. And for the top speed run, already in effect, are we going to get a better time? Slightly under a 7.39 seconds, 350-ish feet, go into the grass, and the right-wing police that wants to keep gasoline available is on my ass. Screw crapmobile. And they were right about oversteering. They were right about my death. Jesus Christ, just write me a ticket while I'm dead here, Mr. Soliad, Lansdale. Same thing with you, Mr. Burnside. I got ticketed for speeding and racing. Could you please help me out, please? No, you're just gonna ignore me and just chase after the SBR. Oh my god. You're chasing the goddamn SBR. You ain't going nowhere, fool. Just call it off. Code 4. Call it off. So anyways, let's do a time trial run while we're at it and get away from the cops right this instant. So here we are at another modded map of the Suzuka Raceway, where I got loaded up here is the full Grand Prix circuit of this here racetrack, and we're going to be doing only one lap with a rolling start with the Radium. So let's get things started here. Ready? Go. As the electric motor just revs up as we were hitting on the gas pedal, and damn, getting a little squirrely coming out, so I believe automation was right about the oversteering. It could be like how heavy the... Yeah, I believe so, that automation did indeed calculate that amount of oversteer into BeamNG.drive. It's probably because how quote-unquote heavy the engine was in the back, even though there's no real engine in the back. I'll probably check out the J-beam structure, like the center of gravity or whatever, in a little bit, so... Man, I swear to God. I mean, it's all-wheel drive, we can kinda do the oversteer drift, or just wing it like that and just recover. So pretty much automation did say, like, to combat the oversteering issue is to put some, like, baby-sized tires up front, like some 185s, 195mm wide tires, and put the backs would be, like, 245s, 255s, but in real life for a car like this, it wouldn't be that ideal to put those kind of tires on this particular car, a K car. If I would have had, like, the legitimate engine size, like the 660cc inline 3, and pretty much all along those lines, and all that in general with the Japanese regulations of a K car, then the oversteering issue wouldn't be that much of a problem whatsoever. I mean, look at that. Snap oversteer as soon as I turn in. How about this corner right here? Brake in. I mean... It's controllable for the oversteering part, but if you're a noob at this game, or in real life driving a car like this with that severe amount of oversteer, then don't drive a car like this. I mean, it's all-wheel drive. It'll help... Damn, it'll help you out, but if it would have been rear-wheel drive, then forget about it. You're just gonna be drifting all over the place and wiping out due to the extreme oversteering issue. It's like if they wanted me to either, like, do that with the tires, like, make them skinny up front, thicker in the back, or put some positive camber in the front, which I don't know if that would work. I'll put some positive camber to combat the oversteering issue. Alright, here's the sweeping corner. 150-ish miles an hour on the brakes. Oh, man. This is doing numbers. Like a viral Twitter post as I hit the wall. I really underestimated that corner big time. I thought it was going to be on the brakes, and the car would do the sliding job for me, but it didn't. Damn it. But hey, no harm, no foul. We're just missing a beer, and that's all. So here's the final straightaway, this final bend, coming out of turn, whatever the hell number this is. It's a 2 minutes, 40 seconds, 523 milliseconds, which puts us first place by 1.2 seconds compared to my second place car, which is the Libra, the Wena Libra, which is a quote-unquote rotary that I made, like, what, 6 months in the past of where I made a rotary type of car from the late 80s, like a wannabe Unos Cosmo from the 80s or 90s or something like that, with a rotary engine, but I got the rotary engine sounds from Angela Great's Engine Simulator. So anyways, let's go to free roam and crash this boy yet again at over 160 miles an hour, everything as is. Spank the side of the wall, and we spin it out. Impact detected, stopping car, there goes the mirror. And a tire. So final look at the car, even though the engine, quote-unquote engine, is still running, because look. Accelerate. As we do that. So look at the car, it held up fairly well of that kind of collision. I mean, in real life it'll disintegrate, but this did a fairly good job at 140 mile an hour collision. Realistically, 140 hitting the wall after going through the gravel pit. So anyways, for the final part of the video, let's drop this bad boy down just only once at the leap of death, if I can find it right here. So the leap of death, and let's drop this to the top of the ramp, drop this down a big ass pit, and see what we can do from here. Alright, Mr. Oversteering Machine, let's accelerate as you go, whoop, yet again. Let's see, 40, 50, are we gonna get 0 to 62? About 6 seconds. 65-ish miles an hour was our exit speed, so just under 6 seconds is our 0 to 62 by going down the little front flip ramp, or to the downhill and into the ramp. So let's slow down the camera here and get a better camera angle. Alright, 50 times slow-mo. Here we go into the door, and there goes everything with the body, the chassis, and some other fixtures, mainly the mirrors and the little, like, antenna receiver or something like that on the roof of the vehicle. So let's go to full time. Flatten as a pancake. I mean, we're flat, but let's see if this thing can still run once we get to the pond here. So base drop on our 4 wheels. Jeez, that was kind of loud. And prepare to splash. Right, splash. No resistance whatsoever. Impact detected. Stopping car for the 3rd time down here. Interesting. So brake test. 83 to 0 in about 6.5 seconds. It's terrible. So here we go with the car as I plop this down with the node grabber. So it's a hunk of mess. Can the hunk of mess still run? It's trying, but we got half a wheel and 3/4 of the wheel in our back, but unfortunately, we're just going to be doing a half-ass half burnout in this condition. So, chassis is the best, the body's the best. That's what happens when you launch an EV down the cliff, minus the explosive combustionness with a lithium-ion battery or the fire and all that in general that EVs do when they burn up. So the Hinata Radium SEL, aka the Sporty KEV, the general performance of this car, well, it way outperforms a general K car with like a top speed of like under 100 miles an hour and a 0 to 60 in like 20 seconds or something like that. This pretty much just pulls the middle finger to all of those vehicles because, well, first of all, it's a sports car in the K car class in Japan. It's pretty nimble, but the big downside of this car is that it has a huge tendency to oversteer, but it can be recoverable because of it being all-wheel drive. So in general, the car is fast, it's quick, but you gotta know how to drive this car thanks to it oversteering. So anyways, that'll do it with automation and BeamNG.drive. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future. So this is TRIZE Rising Up, and signing out.